They tore their way out, fleeing into a night that promised only death. 9 experienced hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, vanished into the Ural Mountains in 1959. What rescuers found weeks later would baffle investigators for decades, revealing a scene of terror and inexplicable demise. This is the chilling story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute, all skilled in challenging expeditions. Their goal was Otorten Mountain, a formidable peak in the northern Urals, a journey planned for 3 weeks. On January 28, 1959, they began their ascent. One member, Yuri Yudin, fell ill and was forced to turn back. His departure would save his life, leaving 9 to continue towards their unknown fate. The remaining 9 established their final camp on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, or Dead Mountain, on February 1. They were expected to return by February 12, but days turned into weeks with no word. A search party was launched. On February 26, a chilling discovery was made. Their tent, found abandoned and severely damaged. It was cut open from the inside, suggesting an urgent, desperate escape. Inside the tent, investigators found their belongings, food, worn clothes, and even their boots. It was clear they had fled in a hurry, unprepared for the brutal cold outside, many barefoot or in socks. Following a trail of footprints in the snow, the search party descended towards a nearby forest. The footprints indicated that at least some of the group were barefoot or wearing only socks, despite temperatures plummeting far below freezing. Under a large cedar tree, approximately 1.5 kilometers from the tent, the first 2 bodies were found. Yuri Krivonischenko and Yuri Doroshenko, dressed only in underwear, lay near the remains of a small fire. Their hands were severely burned, and branches of the cedar tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting a desperate attempt to climb the tree for an unknown reason. A few hundred meters away, 3 more bodies were discovered: Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustam Slobodin. They appeared to have been attempting to return to the tent, collapsing one after another in the snow. Dyatlov was found face down, one hand gripping a small birch branch, as if trying to pull himself forward. Kolmogorova had a fractured skull, yet no external wounds were visible on her body. Slobodin, too, suffered a fractured skull. The internal nature of these injuries, without clear external impact marks, deepened the mystery surrounding their deaths. What force could inflict such damage? It took another 2 months to find the remaining 4 hikers. They were discovered in a ravine, buried under 4 meters of snow, further down the slope from the cedar tree. Among them were Alexander Kolevatov, Ludmila Dubinina, Semyon Zolotaryov, and Nikolai Thibault-Brignoles. Their discovery brought even more unsettling details to light. Dubinina and Zolotaryov had horrific injuries, fractured ribs, some described as being crushed with the force of a car crash. Their internal organs were displaced, yet again, without significant external wounds. Even more disturbing, Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lip. Zolotaryov was missing his eyeballs. These gruesome details pointed to something beyond mere exposure. Thibault-Brignoles had a severe skull fracture. Curiously, some of the clothes on these 4 bodies, particularly a fur coat and pants, belonged to other members of the group, suggesting they had been taken from the deceased. Adding to the strangeness, a high level of radiation was detected on some of the clothing. While attributed to previous military tests in the area, this detail fueled early speculation of a secret weapon or government cover-up. The official Soviet conclusion was a compelling natural force, leaving the specific cause of death open. This vague explanation only deepened the mystery, leading to a myriad of theories. One popular theory suggests an avalanche. The steep slope of Kholat Syakhl, combined with heavy snowfall, could have created conditions for a slab avalanche. The group, startled, might have cut their way out. However, the tense location on a relatively gentle slope and the intact footprints leading away contradict a typical avalanche scenario. Also, the injuries of Dubinina and Zolotaryov were too specific for general avalanche trauma. Another theory points to infrasound. It proposes that strong winds created a rare acoustic phenomenon, generating infrasound waves capable of inducing extreme panic, nausea, and disorientation. This could explain why they fled the tent in terror, but it doesn't account for the severe internal injuries or the missing body parts. Panic alone wouldn't crush ribs or remove a tongue. Some have suggested encounters with local Mansi tribesmen. While the Mansi were known to hunt in the area, their culture is generally peaceful, and there's no evidence of conflict or robbery. Furthermore, the nature of the injuries doesn't align with any known weapon used by by the Mansi. The idea of a tribal attack remains largely unsubstantiated speculation. Then there are the more exotic theories: Yeti attacks, secret military tests gone wrong, or even extraterrestrial involvement. The glowing orbs reported by another group of hikers nearby added fuel to these ideas. While captivating, these theories lack concrete evidence. The Soviet government's secrecy surrounding the case, however, only allowed such wild speculation to flourish, creating a lasting enigma. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation, concluding that a combination of factors led to the tragedy, primarily a rare type of avalanche and poor visibility. This conclusion sparked immediate controversy. Our analysis leans towards a more nuanced explanation that combines environmental factors with a critical error. The most plausible scenario involves a delayed slab avalanche, not a typical one. The tent was pitched on a snow slab that, while seemingly stable, was precariously balanced. Heavy snowfall during the night, combined with the hiker's own movements, could have triggered a slow-moving, heavy collapse. This snow slab would not have engulfed the entire tent but rather compressed it, causing severe, localized trauma to those inside, like the skull fractures and crushed ribs, without necessarily burying them. The panic-stricken hikers, fearing burial, cut their way out. In their disoriented state, in pitch darkness and a blizzard, they fled downhill towards the only perceived shelter, the forest line. Some sought warmth and shelter under the cedar tree, attempting to light a fire. The missing clothes on the ravine victims suggest that those who died first had their garments taken by others, a desperate act of survival. The gruesome facial injuries, particularly the missing eyes and tongue, are likely the result of post-mortem scavenging by animals such as foxes or martens once the bodies were exposed after snowmelt. The radiation on the clothes, though alarming, was likely residual from previous Soviet military tests in the region, an unfortunate coincidence rather than a direct cause of death. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a haunting testament to the unforgiving power of nature and the tragic consequences of a desperate flight. A series of unfortunate events, culminating in unthinkable suffering. The real horror wasn't a monster or conspiracy, but the gradual, inevitable decline into hypothermia and trauma, miles from any help, in the heart of a brutal Russian winter. What do you think truly happened that night on Dead Mountain? Could a series of natural events truly explain such a bizarre and tragic outcome? Share your theories in the comments below. Backhand index pointing down. If you are fascinated by the darkest corners of human experience and the world's most baffling mysteries, be sure to subscribe to Mind Unlocked for more in-depth explorations.